This video is going to be an offensive review from the Ravens' 34-17 win over the Steelers Saturday night. I'm going to take a look at two complete possessions, their fourth and their seventh. The fourth possession, if you don't recall, is preceded by the forced fumble from Ardarius Washington against Russell Wilson on the scramble when the Steelers looked like they were going to take a 14-7 lead. And then the seventh possession occurs in the third quarter once Pittsburgh has pulled into a 17-7 tie on the touchdown pass from Wilson to Cordarrelle Patterson against Malik Harrison to tie the game at 17. Kind of an ominous moment there, and what the Ravens offense did thereafter. Impressive, not just because of what Lamar did, where he threw the football, how many guys were utilized, how many guys touched the football and made chunk plays on that drive to go down and take a 24-17 lead, almost a little bit like an exclamation point where the Ravens offensive staff and players said, you just can't stop us. We have so many weapons that, especially with the losses in the secondary that the Steelers had. These two possessions I picked specifically because I think they were the most important. They just happened to also be two of the possessions where Derrick Henry had the least amount of impact. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. We'll start this actually with Ardarius Washington's forced fumble. It's the second quarter. It's the Steelers' third possession. In fact, it's a 7-7 tie at this point. We're bringing a five-man rush here. So Malik Harrison is running out into the flats with the running back Najee Harris because Roquan Smith is blitzing. It's man-free with a five-man rush. And Kyle Van Noy jumps to the inside against the right tackle. Russell Wilson recognizes the space and is out the gate. 19-yard gain, unfortunately for him, Ardarius Washington. Great pad level, great commitment, and then explosion to finish the play. Let me talk a little bit about what's happening here with Roquan and Kyle Van Noy. So we're bringing both of them, and I almost wonder on Roquan's angle if he's trying to make it look like he's going to take the running back man, such that the guard might leave him alone. I don't know. But in any case, he veers back to the inside, and so does Kyle Van Noy. And that is what allows Russell Wilson to get out of there so quickly and easily with a free release, basically. No one in his path, unabated, down the right hash. And at this moment, it looks like he's going to get into the end zone. Ardarius makes this play is as important as some of the ones that that Marlon Humphrey has made in 2024. Just creating turnovers out of a situation that looked anomalous, if you ask me. Like I said earlier, great pad level, great timing and commitment. It's the explosion at the end that really pops the ball out, the impact there that Russell Wilson wasn't necessarily expecting. So the Ravens take over on the -4. Of course, we go on a 96-yard drive to take a 14-7 lead. This is our fourth possession, mind you. This looks like an auto give to me. Derrick Henry almost slips out the side door here. TJ Watt is able to finish him off barely. This is a three inside linebacker look by the Steelers. They're not a 4-3 team. They've been a 3-4 team for years, but they matched 12 personnel with 4-3 structure. In this case, Roberts, Queen, and Wilson. Additional to that, they matched a different 4-3 structure when Ricard was on the field. So the only reason I have these guys circled and pointed out to you is so you remember who they are. Queen, Roberts, and Wilson against 12 personnel. Looks like an auto give to me, in my opinion. Likely is unable to handle Watt. Surprise, surprise. And so when Henry kind of tries to sneak out the side door, Watt is just barely able to get a piece of him enough to hold him to a 2-yard gain and set up a 2nd and 8. Again, we're on the fourth possession, so we're 12 personnel one more time. Notice who is on the field: Roberts, Queen, and Wilson. And we'll compare that to when Ricard gets on the field later and they match with a 3 inside linebacker structure. Likely is going to go up against their nickel. He's a guy that I have felt, Bishop, I think he's a rookie. He's a guy I've felt since the first matchup this year that we could go at in the pass game. Size, great athlete, don't get me wrong, and committed. He's got some interceptions this year, but we have a size advantage here. We have a route running advantage here. Catch radius advantage with Likely, and it's borne fruit here on this throw from Lamar. It's a great throw, number one. Number two, five-man rush, 5+1, in fact, by the Steelers here. Rosengarten's rep here against Watt is a good one, if you ask me. Opens the hands such that he's almost like trying to get Watt to run his move first. Watt gets into his chest a little bit, and then Rosengarten, maybe he's got the helmet, maybe he's up under the chin. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe he had the helmet there, but he stalemates him, and that allows, well, the pass pro in general was pretty good there. Clean throw from Lamar over the top against Bishop, like I said, ends up being, I think, a 19-yard gain. You guys actually aren't getting the catch there. My apologies. Very next play, 1st and 10. We will show you pretty much every snap on this drive. So notice who's not on the field now. There's no Roberts. Why? Because it's 11 personnel. Wilson and Queen stayed on the field. It's 11 personnel, twin slot A. A draw to Justice Hill. I will show the next play where he gets hurt, but I'm not going to show the impact. I'll stop it just before he gets tackled and hits the ground. We had trouble, if you ask me, with this matchup, number one. Number two, sometimes a draw play is contingent upon a particular coverage. So what I mean is if it's a Tampa 2 and on a pass read, this inside linebacker's got to get depth and kind of turn his back or open to the pass strength. That sets itself up well for a draw play. That's not the coverage here. Number one, he's unblocked. Number two, Lamar, not really much of a fake here to make it look like a pass. Peyton Wilson, unblocked. We had trouble, Macari, I thought, with Cam Hayward in short space specifically, just not able to match the strength there. The problem for the Steelers was the limitations in lateral movement for Cam Hayward. Even when he was going up against Macari, they showed up a couple of times on runs by Henry and Justice Hill here in a moment. Queen and Wilson really get this one wrong. Again, this is the injury to Justice Hill, the big run, I think 25 yards. So it's a second man through concept. We got motion going across, and you can see Queen is pointing to Wilson. I think he's letting him know, hey, Flowers is going to go next. He's got familiarity with our offense from last year, obviously, but also from scouting with the Steelers. They were well prepared in a lot of ways. So once Flowers goes post-snap, Queen is just nowhere to be found. This is the third time, and he played well at times, don't get me wrong. This is the third time where we basically don't need to block him. And we're getting to the second level of the defense, and he's either gone as the backside inside linebacker, or really in this case, since the ball is on the left hash, and this is the boundary, the short side of the field, and that's exactly where Justice Hill is going. He's the front side inside linebacker. You just can't lose the front side inside linebacker and defend run concepts generally. Not going to show the finishing of the play. Check out Hayward, unable to do anything in the B gap here. He is getting comboed by Macari and Linderbaum. He just was not able to shed the block and move side to side and make plays. But anything in tight space, I thought he really handled Macari quite easily. After Hill's injury, which fortunately he was able to walk off, and it sounds like he's going to be okay, even though I'm sure he won't play on Wednesday, we're now 21 personnel. So notice what the Steelers have done. Yes, they're matching with 3 inside linebackers again, but Wilson is not one of them. The third inside linebacker, along with Roberts and Queen, is Mark Robinson, a really good run blocker. He actually played extremely well. I believe it was late in the season 2022 in Baltimore. Played an incredible game along with Robert Spillane, if memory serves. And Spillane, of course, then signed a big contract with the Raiders in the offseason. This is a dig route, so I like it. I think what Monken and those guys have done is recognize the Steelers, are 4-3 structure here against anything with Ricard on the field. Ricard is up top in the ace formation. And so we're going to go play action and pass on them. Throw it over the top. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see the lane that Lamar has to throw through, first of all. Obviously, there's a face mask here. It's a 14-yard gain by Flowers on the catch and the run, and then 15 yards added on with the face mask on Minkah Fitzpatrick. So these are the 3 inside linebackers that I'm talking about. A little bit of a different. It basically looks like a 5-3 is what it looks like. They've kept their front on with their interior D lineman, 3 interior D linemen, and that's when Ricard was on the field. So you had a 4-3 look against 12 personnel, and this 5-3 hybrid look against 21. And what ended up happening at times was Queen would get matched up on Andrews because they're down 1 defensive back. In a 5-3 structure, you only have 3 DBs on the field. Look at the lane that Lamar has to throw through here on the play action to Henry. Right where the football goes, it's Mark Robinson, whose hand kind of flies up there. He's a good player. I don't think they trust him in pass coverage, and that's why he was on. Generally, when Pat Ricard was on the field, it was a reaction or response to Ricard being on in 21 or 20 personnel group. Ends up being a gain of 29 when you add on the penalty by Minkah Fitzpatrick, who did play an exceptional game, I think, in some regards. So we're down now inside the red zone, 1st and 10, broken bunch. So broken bunch means you got a stack here, and then the third part of the bunch is actually attached to the right tackle. These two guys should be next to Andrews if it's going to be a bunch, so we would call it broken bunch. And it's a gun with Henry. This is the Ravens' play to get the running back off, and meaning we ran this twice when Ali was on the field. So motion Ali out, and then essentially it almost looked like dart. The first time I saw it, it's not dart. It's really tackle log. Rosengarten is trying to watch Rosengarten like fall down. It's because he's trying to get in between Stanley and Macari. That's where this is supposed to go. And so when I say Macari couldn't handle the physical strength of Hayward and the technique in short space, this is what I mean. So it's a 2-eye by Hayward. 2-eye means he's inside shade on the guard, reading the guard. That's his visual key and his pressure key. So what we need to do is take him down. And Macari just can't do that. We're base blocking out here on the edge. The tackle's going to pull and wrap. It's not counter. I thought it was dart the first time I saw it during the game, but dart would be the running back on one side kind of cross in the face, and then the tackle pulling in the opposite direction so the quarterback could keep it behind that tackle's kick-out block. This is more like a log concept, if you ask me, designed to go to the B gap, and Macari just can't make it happen. Hayward expands him with his step, his strength, and his control. Yeah, he's got a hold of Macari's shoulder pads. Pretty much everyone on the field is holding someone in some manner. They really shut that one down. But with Justice Hill out of the game, we kind of had to do those things at times when Ali was in the game. The difference with the previous play, the one that we just talked about, is Derrick Henry was actually on the field. 2nd and 8, one of those situations out of 12 personnel. Now they're in nickel because of down and distance. And Queen is still matched up on Andrews. So they have stayed in a base structure against our 12 personnel here. So you've got 2 inside linebackers, Roberts and Queen, presumably because we have Henry on the field. And Queen is lined up over Andrews to take him man-to-man. Some contact between the two of them. They're just hand-fighting. Lamar tries to throw it up. I like the play, to be honest with you. This is conceptually similar to the touchdown to Bateman later on, and then also the touchdown to Bateman last week, and a completion to Likely against the Giants last week, where he goes in motion, kind of runs in the flats, and then we get a deep corner route by the number 1 receiver, or who was the number 1 receiver prior to the motion. And against the Giants, it was Rashad Bateman. Here, it's Mark Andrews. I mean, maybe Andrews opens the wrong way. Maybe Lamar throws it, 6 inches too high. It's a nice job by Queen, in my opinion. I think 80-85% of Queen's reps the other night were pretty good. I think his bad ones were really bad on run fits as the front side and or backside guy. I like the location. Lamar putting it away from the defender because Fitzpatrick had matched Likely out into the flat, so that's where the open space is, number 1. Number 2, he knows, Lamar that is, that Andrews can make plays on the ball. We wouldn't expect Patrick Queen to do so. And because of the ball location, I think it really limited Queen's options or the possibility for him to actually be involved in getting his hands on the football. So 3rd and 8 here, and very similar concept if you ask me. We're going to take advantage of this corner. I mean, it's 3rd and 8. He's jumping a route underneath by Likely. Queen has inside-out leverage on, essentially on the hash. He's wider than the hash because NFL hashes are so tight. This corner should be outside leverage. He is, but he's jumping Likely, and that just Tom Brady covered it well. He took the cheese or took the bait. Rashad Bateman takes his route funneled to the inside, brings it back to the sideline. Lamar, perfect timing to get the toe drag. So, yes, I mean, the corner should stay on top of it. But the reality is, if he does stay here and Lamar's able to get the ball to Likely's able to run to the sideline away from Queen, so turn to the sideline and try to get the first down. There's still a possibility that we get it. I do think that corner should have stayed high with the line to gain being the 6-yard line as it stands there. Similar concept, like I said earlier, to one of the touchdowns that Bateman had last week against the Giants. Queen was walked up, drops out, and then he'll kind of redirect. He'll bounce one time, because he sees Lamar look back the other way. I love how relaxed Lamar is. Looking to the left, comes back to the middle, and then goes back to Bateman. So I almost wonder if he was doing that to kind of hold this safety here. Looking left, you can see his helmet come back to the middle where Zay Flowers is coming across, and then back to Bateman. I think he knew where he was going with the ball. I think he wanted to look one way and kind of hold that safety a little bit and open up that space more towards the sideline. Bateman's having a ridiculous year. That was a big moment to go up 14-7 after Russell Wilson is scrambling inside our 10 and then inside our 5, and it looks like they're going to take a one-score lead. We'll move forward a little bit here. This is when the Steelers actually tied the game at 17. I thought our offense was in real control in the first half. We actually made a long field goal on a difficult snap. 51-yarder, I think, maybe 52. And because there's no motion here, this is the Steelers' 7th possession, by the way. It's a 2nd and 11 in the third quarter. This is obviously going to be the touchdown to Patterson against Malik Harrison. There's no motion. There's no shift. There's no attempted obfuscation. There's no check Russell Wilson. And to me, that tells me he knew where he was going with the football. The Steelers, saw Harrison on the field. And look, it's a nice throw by Wilson. It's a really nice catch by Patterson. It's a poor angle by Malik Harrison. On 2nd and 11, like sometimes you say on run concepts, your heels are capped, meaning you've got to play downhill on a run concept. Maybe you've got to scrape over the top. But in any case, you're not losing ground. On a 2nd and 11, if we've got you man on a running back, we would say your toes are capped, meaning if we read pass, we're not coming downhill because we open ourselves up. We're already at an athletic disadvantage with Patterson being a running back / wide receiver or wide receiver with running back skills, whatever you want to call it. Harrison coming downhill here leaves him no opportunity to defend this particular route. Now, if you sit at depth and you sit here with your toes capped, then does that open up something like this? Well, yeah, you got to chase. Does that open up a zig route coming back across your face? Possibly it does. One of the reasons why maybe we shouldn't be playing man there with Malik Harrison on the running back into the boundary, but I digress a little bit. Same play from the end zone angle, and then we'll get to our possession where just so many guys play a role on offense to get the lead, to retake the lead, I should say, 24-17. It's a nice throw by Wilson, nice design by their offense. I think we could see them again in the playoffs, and I think they'll have a good plan. And they'll have a plan to try to attack us, depending on who we have on the field defensively. Unique situation, the special teams mistake here by Boswell. We didn't make the special teams mistake. We didn't lose the turnover battle. And we didn't get overly penalized by the refs. If those three things happen and we do play this team again, I absolutely like our chances. I think we're the more talented team. If everyone on both sides is healthy and we're not overly penalized and or making special teams mistakes or turning the football over. So we got the ball in great field position here, tied at 17 in the third quarter. A little over 5 minutes left in the third quarter, as you can see. One of my favorite formations that Todd Monken uses, well, I don't think he uses it enough. I call it sniffer. And so imagine for a moment that Ricard is not here. He's somewhere else from a pre-snap alignment standpoint. A really effective formation for us this year has been like trips or bunch closed with the tight end and the running back on the same side. Well, here they've added Ricard to the closed side. So now you got Henry, Ricard, and Andrews, the tight end, all on the same side. What have the Steelers matched with? Their 5-3 look. They've got three inside linebackers on the field, Robinson, Roberts, and Queen, along with their front 5 defensive linemen. So we're aware of that mismatch with Andrews and Queen, especially running across the field like this. Queen has walked up almost like a little bit like a bear technique. Man, on the tight end, he has to be because it's a 5-3 look, so they're down one defensive back. Very similar to what they did in 2022, like I said, when Mark Robinson played, except the difference that year was they brought in an extra defensive lineman. It wasn't a 5-3 look. It was a 6-2. So if we do see him a third time, can know with certainty that we're going to get a somewhat anomalous look when Ricard is on the field, whether it's with one tight end, so 21 personnel, or 20. And Queen, there's really not much Queen can do here. He's trying to get hands on. Andrews loses him. Heavy rush component by the Steelers. Not much, in my opinion, that Queen can do in terms of defending it better. Rosengarten over there, I thought, did a nice job on Watt. Didn't necessarily look 100% healthy to me. So those, I'm sure that Watt will try to run some different moves the next time we see him. But you still have to give Rosengarten credit for being a rookie. He's playing exceptionally well. 16-yard gain for Andrews, and look, he's complaining to the refs about a punch by Queen, and I do have something to say about that. Do I think that you should be able to punch the ball out to force fumbles? Sure, I do. I do think there should be some drawback, perhaps a, quote, penalty, if you punch at the ball and you miss, meaning if you punch a guy in the face mask, in the helmet, you're going to get a penalty. If you're punching at the ball and you punch a guy in the neck, you're probably going to get a penalty. The chest, the stomach, the side, the ribs, I don't know. But there has to be some kind of, in my opinion, drawback for punching inaccurately. And in that case, I think Queen, it was a needless punch. Andrews is going out of bounds. He can say or justify, I'm trying to punch to knock the ball out. Andrews got the ball in the outside arm, the sideline hand, and so there's really no opportunity to strip it there. I get it that Andrews would say something in passing to the ref. I don't think that's soft behavior by him. So after that win by Andrews against Queen, we bring in 11 personnel. Clearly, Roberts and Robinson are going to go off the field. So straight nickel now with Fitzpatrick and a nickel defender to the field side, to the trips. And Andrews came off, and we're going to go dual read. So into the boundary. This is a really poor job by Isaiah Likely. This is there. All we've got to do is get a block that doesn't allow Fitzpatrick to impede Lamar. We used to say for the option under center at least, if we get the quarterback 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, then we're going to have a 5, 6, 7-yard gain somewhere at minimum. And in this case, we've got the quarterback 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, or at the line of scrimmage as I paused it right here, and Likely complete. It's a great job by Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's a complete loss by Likely. He's done a good job in this technique this year. I think what's different here is that he's in motion from a longer way away. He almost seems to be a little less in control, if you will, as he gets out here to Fitzpatrick on the edge. And Fitzpatrick is violent. He just sheds him. It's a nice job by him. Again, it's a 1st and 10, so he's going to make the tackle on Lamar. Really a surprising situation. Great angle inside out by him. When you hold Lamar, who reads the option well, to 3-yard gain when he keeps it, that's a win for your defense. Sets up a 2nd and 7. And now we go 12 personnel. And look at how the Steelers have matched it. They've got base personnel on the field. So they're switching defensive personnel groups constantly, trying to confuse, or maybe not confuse, trying to give Todd Monken multiple looks, and Lamar, things that they've got to worry about. And this is a really nice concept, very similar to a lot of things that Ben Johnson does with the Lions, whereby they go like stack twins, and there's just so many options for what you can do. The outside receiver run the short in, and the inside receiver run a deeper in route. Or the inside receiver, in this case Likely, an in, outside guy run a shallow out. Some of the best stuff that I've seen the Lions run is 2 wide receivers into the boundary here. Likely is checking up, and since they're in their base defense, again, Peyton Wilson not on the field, this inside linebacker, Roberts, gets attached to the hip of Likely. Check out the umbrella that the Steelers are giving as well. So you got really a cover 3 look, but this free safety, no technique, no backpedal at all. He's not getting depth. And so Lamar knows that. He sees it, in my opinion, and that's why that throw is low. I remember watching it during the game and thinking, why was that throw so low? It's because this free safety got 0 depth at all. There was no technique there from a backpedal standpoint. He just sat there with his heels capped and then broke on the first look by Lamar. It's a 4-man rush here. You pretty much got easy stuff to deal with by these 2 guys. The actual rushers in this situation is Herbig and Hayward, and I just don't think that that's a good matchup for us in a pass rush situation. When Hayward can play in short space or downhill, bull rush if you will, he's going to cause Pat McCarry problems. The other 2 guys, because they're dropping out Watt, 92 is trying to cross face, 57 is giving Linderbaum a little bit of an issue. It's an easy job dealing with 92, not so much with 97 and with Herbig. Ends up being a nice throw by Lamar, intentionally low. I would call it a cover 3-ish, except the free safety, a little bit of a variation, goes for 15 yards. Look at how many players have touched the football on this drive. Well, really in the 2 drives that I'm showing you. But on this particular drive, Andrews running across the field. You've got Flowers on the dig that I just showed you. And now here, Henry is on the field on a 1st and 10. And we set up in what I think might be our most effective look, which is whether it's 11 personnel or 12, the ability to block jet sweep down here. So run the jet, possibly have these 2 guys arc release out to the edge and give it. Along with that, the dive zone opposite of the jet. And it's a beautiful setup. You guys, if you listen to my content much, you know that I think we should run it more often with Flowers or anyone else, to be honest, for that matter. But the difference here is we're not running the jet. We're running the screen back against it to Henry. And he had a really nice game catching the football, number 1. Number 2, look at what the Steelers have on the field. This motion against their base defense, which is what we have. Why? Because it's 12 personnel with Andrews and Likely. So that's what makes this a great call across multiple layers, and if you ask me. They had to match the motion because they only had 4 DBs on the field. They had to match Flowers across the field. Otherwise, they wouldn't have enough people there to actually defend a pass concept with 3 receivers. And so what I mean, well, there's the jet dive drawn up pretty simplistically. But because Likely and Andrews are over here, it's their base defense. When Flowers motions across, they almost have to run someone across. And they do. In fact, it's 42. That vacates or opens up the space. It really isolates Roberts here. It's extremely similar to something that happened to Malik Harrison last week, a screen against the Giants. I believe it was against the Giants. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago against the Eagles. My apologies. But it isolates the inside linebacker. Why? Because that safety had to roll with the motion. Todd Monken knew that, and I think that's an added layer that he deserves credit for on this particular play call. 16 yards, play action screen to Derrick Henry. Really cool concept, if you ask me. The Steelers used that against us to great effect in the first matchup in Pittsburgh. So now we go 11 personnel. Henry is off the field. Ali is on. I mean, you kind of know what's coming. I got it listed as QB log. Again, I thought it was dart. First time I saw it. So Rosengarten's going to pull and try to wrap. And again, it's Macari. Macari just can't do anything with that in shot. I don't think he did a good job with 3 techniques. I don't think he did a good job with it. Certainly not with a 2-eye. And I think the Steelers have kind of told us something. They're giving Macari a 2-eye often. So a 2-eye and a 3, a shaded 3 over here. And I think it's because they recognize that Macari is not going to be able to match up with those guys from a talent and physicality and size and strength standpoint. A 57, don't even know who he is, but 95, 97, really good. I thought over here we had weaker matchups consistently. I'm not sure why that is, but either case, look at what happens to Macari. Totally blown up. Rosengarten ends up being clogged up. Additional to that, Linderbaum is trying to deal with Queen. Queen's able to shed him. Lamar does get through there, but too much congestion. The lanes should have been bigger. Primarily disrupted, if you ask me, by Macari's inability to deal with that 2-eye technique once again. 2nd and 6, and this is going to be the touchdown to Andrews. 12 personnel, but because of the situation, they're not in their base defense like they had been. They stay in their nickel front, motion across, and it's Fitzpatrick and 20 who don't get this correct in terms of how they could defend it. Fitzpatrick pointed at Andrews, basically telling number 20 to take him. They both go with Flowers, wide open over the middle. Along with this, and I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see it. Watch the free safety's reaction here. I'll let it flow through a couple of times, and it's related to where Lamar looks. So he just totally breaks ranks. It's a man call backside, dude. I don't know. I have different philosophies if we're in man free. I'm not going to leave the 3 receiver side, and especially against motion, and let something just pop like this that's busted. The free safety, if you ask me, is a part of that equation, adding a layer of defense, if you will, in case something ends up getting wide open or popping open from the front side. Now, you don't see 23 on this screen, but you see Lamar looking to the right. And then when he comes back here, now you can see 23 reacted to it, and obviously you saw it from the end zone angle as well. Lamar did this multiple times in the game, I thought. I had it 4 times where he's looking one way, comes back, playing at an extremely high level. We're getting a ton of things done because of everything Lamar is able to execute. Typical pass concepts that every other quarterback utilizes, under center play action, under center run concepts, pistol option read stuff, where Lamar offers tremendous versatility, tremendous big play ability, I should say, if the Steelers forced to keep read. They did not. They generally forced to give read, and that was to their peril. I kind of covered that in the Derrick Henry video that I put out on Sunday. If you didn't check that one out already, please consider doing so. I'll link it up here in the description, and as the video culminates, let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. The two possessions I chose to illustrate the versatility, the multiple ways that Todd Monken attacked a Steelers defense, and a Steelers defense that was changing their shape, changing their look with every personnel group. Credit to them. They were trying to give us different looks. I think that's twofold. I think they're trying to match what we do, take away certain things depending on the personnel group. But I think they're also trying to slow down Monken and Lamar's processing. Hey, what look do they have in? Are they actually matching 12 personnel with their irregular 4-3? Are they actually matching 21 personnel with their 5-3 look? Meaning each time that we snap the football, is that a thought process that has to go through Lamar's head? He's getting some of that information from Monken, I'm sure, but he gets the play call generally, and then he's got to confirm the look. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look, this long-form film study look at 2 of the Ravens' most important possessions in their 34-17 win over the Steelers, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.